Welcome to the channel, gentlemen. Today, we're diving into a powerful concept that separates extraordinary men from the rest: the power of detachment. Most men make the mistake of reacting emotionally when a woman pulls away. They beg, they plead, they chase, only to lose her respect in the process. But what if I told you there's a better way? A way that makes you unforgettable in her mind, not through manipulation, but through pure strength and discipline. In this video, we'll break down the exact steps to becoming a man she regrets losing, not because you played games, but because you became the kind of man who doesn't need to play them. You'll learn how to embrace silence, master emotional discipline, and transform yourself into the version of you that she never saw coming. Stay with me until the end, because you won't just understand detachment when we're done, you'll embody it. Let's get started. Stage 1. The fall, embracing silence and letting go. Most men panic when she pulls away, goes silent, or distances herself. They dissect every conversation, replay every moment, and try to pinpoint where things went wrong. Some bombard her with messages, seeking reassurance, while others beg for another chance. But in doing so, they unknowingly lower their perceived value. Desperation is unattractive. The more a man chases, the more he reinforces the idea that she is the prize and he is the pursuer. True strength lies in acceptance. When she withdraws, let her. Do not demand answers. Do not chase closure, and do not try to force her back. Instead, embrace the silence. It is within that space of uncertainty that curiosity is born. She wonders why you are not reacting or doing what most men would do. The absence of your pursuit creates a void, and she starts to question her feelings in that void. A man who remains unmoved by emotional turbulence exudes an unshakable confidence. This confidence is magnetic. It signals that he is not dependent on her validation, has options, and is not easily rattled. Women are instinctively drawn to men who hold themselves with quiet strength, capable of walking away without resentment or bitterness. The one who is least attached holds the most power. This is not about playing games or manipulating emotions, but understanding human psychology. People value what is scarce and take what is readily available for granted. The moment you stop reacting, you shift the dynamic. She is no longer the center of your world, and that realization often brings her back, if not physically, then at least emotionally. Mastering detachment does not mean you do not care. It means you choose self-respect over desperation and composure over chaos. It means you recognize that no amount of pleading will change someone's heart, but distance and silence just might. Stage 2. The inner shift. Rebirth through pain. The man you once were, the one who craved validation, sought approval in her eyes and made her the center of his world, must cease to exist. His demise is not a tragedy, but a necessity. Pain is not a prison, but a forge, and the fire that consumes the old self is the same fire that shapes the new one. You do not break, you transform. The suffering that would have once crushed you now becomes the catalyst for something greater. Distractions lose their appeal. The endless scroll through social media, the numbing comfort of alcohol, the desperate search for something to fill the void, all of it fades. There is no void, only space to grow. The discomfort, the loneliness, the ache of loss, they are no longer things to escape, but things to embrace. You do not drown in your suffering, you let it temper you. Amor fati, you accept everything that happens as inevitable and fuel for your... You do not curse the fire, you step into it willingly, knowing that only through destruction can rebirth occur. She expects you to remain shattered, to be weak, waiting in the ruins of what once was. She assumes your world has stopped because she left, but instead of clinging to the past, you become something unrecognizable, strong, disciplined, indifferent. The version of you that once needed her no longer exists. And when she looks back, expecting to find a man broken by loss, she sees someone she no longer understands. Someone who has risen from the ashes, no longer bound by the past, no longer seeking anything from her or anyone else. Suffering is not your enemy. It is the fire that forges strength. Stage 3. The discipline, cutting emotional dependence. Most men falter in the aftermath of a breakup because they remain emotionally tethered, hoping, waiting, and obsessing over a woman who has already moved on. They scroll through her social media, analyzing every post, dissecting every interaction, and searching for hidden meanings that do not exist. They craft subtle messages and indirect signals, baiting her for a response that will never come. This emotional dependence is not only destructive, it is repulsive. Women are not drawn to men who orbit their past lovers like lost satellites. They are drawn to men who stand firm, do not crumble when love fades, and possess the discipline to walk away and never look back. The truth is simple yet brutal. A woman does not desire a man who makes her the center of his existence. She desires a man who has his purpose, his direction, his unshakable core. She respects the man who does not beg for attention, does not seek validation, and does not place his emotional well-being in her hands. The moment a man demonstrates that his happiness hinges on her presence, he ceases to be a challenge, ceases to be attractive, and ceases to be the man she desires. Dependence breeds contempt. Independence breeds attraction. Mastery over one's emotions is the highest form of power. The man who reacts emotionally, who lets his feelings dictate his actions, is easily controlled. He is predictable, weak, and transparent. The man who remains composed, does not flinch, and does not chase, commands respect. A woman senses when a man is unshaken, when his world does not collapse in her absence. That is the man she cannot forget. That is the man who lingers in her mind, who forces her to question, who becomes the enigma she longs to solve. A man who depends on another for emotional stability is not a man. He is a slave. Freedom is found in detachment. Strength is built in solitude. Power belongs to the one who can walk away without hesitation, without regret, without looking over his shoulder. The moment a man stops needing her, she starts wanting him. Stage 4. The power of silence. Why no contact works like magic. When a woman pulls away, the instinctive reaction for most men is to chase. They bombard her with messages, stalk her social media, and look for ways to accidentally bump into her. But this only reinforces her decision to distance herself further. Silence, on the other hand, flips the script entirely. No contact is not about playing games. It's about stepping back, vanishing entirely from her world, and giving her the space to feel your absence. No texts, no checking her stories, no leaving breadcrumbs to remind her of your presence. She expects you to reach out, to fight for her attention. When you don't, something powerful happens. Doubt creeps into her mind. She wonders if she misjudged your value and if she was too quick to walk away. Psychology tells us humans are wired to place a higher value on things they fear losing forever. The moment she senses you slipping away for good, the weight of that potential loss becomes real. It's no longer about whether she likes you, but but whether she can handle the idea of you being gone. This shift in perception can be more potent than any words you could say to convince her to stay. But the real purpose of no contact is not to wait for her return. It's to evolve. Focus on yourself, level up, and become a man whose presence is felt even in absence. It's about proving first to yourself and then to her that you don't need her to define your worth. The paradox is that when you stop waiting and genuinely embrace your growth, the magnetic pull of your absence becomes strongest. Silence is not a weakness. It is controlled power. A man who can walk away with dignity commands more respect than one who begs to stay. When you remove yourself from the equation, you force her to sit with her emotions. And in that silence, she hears the loudest message of all: you are not a man to be taken for granted. Stage 5. Self-reinvention, becoming the man she regrets losing. The moment you stop making her the center of your universe is the moment you reclaim your power. Too many men linger in the past, replaying what went wrong, searching for answers that no longer matter. She decided based on the man you were then, not the man you're becoming now. Instead of obsessing over her absence, channel that energy into something more valuable: your transformation. A man who elevates himself physically, mentally, and financially is a man who never needs to chase. Confidence isn't built through words or empty affirmations. It's carved through discipline, resilience, and self-mastery. When you improve your body, you radiate strength. When you sharpen your mind, you exude wisdom. When you secure your finances, you command respect. These aren't just improvements, they are undeniable statements of worth. Women are drawn to evolution. They may not always recognize a man's potential at the moment, but they certainly notice when he surpasses the version of himself they once knew. The sting of regret isn't immediate. It settles in when she sees you thriving and realizes she walked away before witnessing your full ascension. And by then you'll be so immersed in your new reality that her presence or absence will no longer define you. The best revenge isn't anger, bitterness, or desperate attempts to prove a point. It's the quiet, steady climb toward a life so fulfilling that looking back becomes irrelevant. The man she left behind is gone. The man you are becoming, unstoppable. Stage 6. The magnetic shift. When she sees you again. There's a moment when she crosses paths with you again, and something feels different. She may not say it, but she senses it. The man she once knew, the one who might have been overly eager, emotionally accessible, or too predictable, no longer stands before her. Instead, she sees someone sharper, more assured, moving through the world with an untouchable energy. Women have an instinct for change, especially when it involves a man they once held power over. She may have expected you to linger in the shadows when she left, waiting, hoping, but now there is no longing in your eyes, no subtle grasp for her validation, no trace of the man who once needed her approval. This shift is magnetic. It unsettles her because it defies her expectation. A man who levels up after a woman leaves him becomes an enigma. He is no longer accessible, no longer bound by the old dynamic. This is why true detachment is so powerful. It signals growth, self-respect, and most importantly, a sense of fulfillment independent of her presence. When she realizes that she has lost a man who became more valuable after she left, it lingers in her mind in a way that few things can. She may test you, probing for cracks in this new foundation, a message out of nowhere, a casual attempt to reconnect, a question wrapped in nostalgia. But she is not looking for the old version of you. She is trying to understand who you have become. and the answer she finds will either confirm her loss or reveal an opening. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to act indifferent or play games. True detachment isn't a performance, it's a state of being. A man who truly moves on doesn't have to pretend. He is already gone. Stage 7, the return, when she wants you back. Her absence left an emptiness that she now seeks to fill. It's a familiar feeling, the void that remains when something significant is lost. But in her mind, it's not just about missing you. It's about testing her influence. She wonders if she still holds any power over you. Does she still matter to you? Can she still affect you the way she once did? This is a critical moment for many men, where emotional reactions can cloud judgment. When a woman reappears, the natural impulse is to rush back, to embrace the possibility of rekindling what was once a strong connection. It's tempting to think that her reaching out signals a return to the love you shared. But that's not the case. Her desire to reconnect might be driven by uncertainty rather than affection. When she reaches out, it doesn't always mean she's ready to commit again. It means she's unsure of herself, where she stands, and possibly what she wants. In their excitement or longing, most men rush back in, eager to pick up where things left off. But this is where the mistake lies. She needs to prove herself worthy of re-entering your life. You must resist the temptation to act impulsively, to let your emotions dictate your actions. Instead, remain calm. Observe the situation without diving in emotionally. Take your time. Her return isn't a declaration of love, it's a reflection of doubt and confusion on her part. You don't need to fill that void immediately or prove your value to her. She needs to prove hers to you. The key here is to understand that when she wants you back, it's not a sign of genuine love or desire to rebuild what was once good. It's a sign that something in her is unsettled. It's a reminder that your emotional calm and restraint are far more valuable than rushing to satisfy her need for validation. Let her make the first move. Let her demonstrate that she's genuinely worthy of another chance. Until she does, stay grounded in your principles. Let her show that she's not reaching out simply because she's uncertain, but because she genuinely wants you back. Stage 8. The decision, taking her back or walking away. The power dynamic in your relationship has shifted. What once was a clear connection now feels muddied by uncertainty. The real question stands before you. Do you even want her back? You've been through enough to know that actions speak louder than words, and your decision must be rooted in clarity, not emotion. Take a moment to evaluate her true intentions. Has she changed, or is she merely curious? Does she reach out because she values you, or does she fear losing what she once had? These aren't just questions. They're the markers of whether the relationship can be rebuilt, or if it's best left in the past. Don't make the mistake of assuming that a call for attention signals genuine growth. It's often just the fear of loneliness, not the fear of losing you. If you take her back, understand that your boundaries must be clear. She must earn her place in your life once again. This isn't about rehashing old wounds or pretending nothing ever happened. If there's a chance at reconciliation, it will require effort, commitment, and the understanding that you won't accept anything less than what you deserve. Don't be afraid to set terms prioritizing your peace, not just her comfort. This is your life, and she has to fit into the narrative you've carefully constructed for yourself. Walking away may feel daunting, but remember this: leave with no anger, no regret, only self-respect. It's easy to become tangled in what could have been, or to focus on the pain, but true strength lies in walking away for the right reasons. You're not leaving because you hate her or because you've failed. You're going because you've realized that your worth doesn't depend on her presence. The real power is knowing you never needed her. You are completely alone. If she's not adding to your growth or happiness, she doesn't belong in your future. Walk away confidently, knowing that your journey will continue and that it's only when you embrace your worth that you truly open yourself up to the right kind of love. Stage 9. The ultimate lesson: freedom through detachment. Ultimately, the most profound lesson you learn is this: she was never the prize, you were. The true victory lies not in winning her over, but in your transformation. Your emotional mastery, the growth you've undergone, and the power you've cultivated within yourself are the ultimate rewards. In the journey toward becoming who you were always meant to be, you discover the Stoic mindset for life. Never seek validation, because you become the validation. When you stop craving external approval, when you stop bending to the whims of others' perceptions, you unlock an unshakable strength. Fleeting emotions no longer control you. You are now the one who controls them. You make conscious decisions, not reactive ones, and that emotional detachment becomes your greatest asset. You have become the embodiment of your self-worth. There is undeniable freedom. Why is it that she will never forget you? It's because you walked away. You chose to remain unbothered, unshaken, and unattached. By doing so, you set yourself apart in a way that makes you unforgettable. You no longer look to others for affirmation. Instead, you are the force that commands respect. Your presence alone exudes a sense of calm, confidence, and emotional control that others can't help but admire. The moment you stop seeking approval is the moment you become someone who is remembered. This is the power of detachment. The moment you embrace your value and let go of needing anyone else to recognize it, you have become untouchable. In that power, you freed yourself from the chains of doubt, insecurity, and dependence. You've transcended the need for validation, and in doing so, you've unlocked the most incredible freedom, the freedom to simply be yourself unapologetically. The ultimate truth: becoming unforgettable. At the core of everything we've discussed, one truth stands above all. A man who can detach, control his emotions, and focus on his growth is a man who becomes unforgettable. Women don't remember the ones who beg, plead, or chase. They remember the ones who walked away with quiet strength, those who disappeared and never looked back. Most men make the mistake of thinking that proving their worth means trying to convince her to stay. But real power doesn't come from convincing. It comes from knowing, and knowing that you were always the prize. Knowing that you never truly needed her validation. Knowing your life, growth, and purpose are far more significant than any relationship. This journey is not about her. It's about you. It's about embracing loss as an opportunity, using pain as fuel for reinvention, and emerging as a man who stands firm in his value. When you stop reacting, when you stop seeking approval, when you master the art of emotional control, you become the kind of man she can never replace. And when she realizes this, when will she finally understand that you have moved beyond her reach? That's the moment she regrets walking away, but by then it no longer matters to you, because the most significant victory is not winning her back, it's becoming the man who never needed to. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced this transformation? Have you ever walked away from a situation and realized it was your best decision? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else on their journey. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you find value in this video. There's much more to explore regarding relationships, self-mastery, and the power of a Stoic mindset. Stay strong, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next one.